Imagine standing at the edge of a huge empty desert.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
the air is super dry, the wind is howling,
Mm.
and far off in the distance, you see these sharp, snowy mountain
That
peaks.
is quite a picture.
Right. And you are just exhausted. You've been traveling for days
Yeah.
through some of the hardest land on earth. You have zero energy left.
It's completely drained.
Exactly. But then the wind shifts and you catch a smell in the air.
Ooh, a good smell.
Oh, a great smell. It is thick, smoky, full of spices, and it instantly makes you hungry.
Mm.
Welcome to Taste China, Learn English. In today's deep dive, we're looking at a really fun guide about the food in Xinjiang.
That is a massive, really vibrant region in the far west of China.
It is, and our mission today is to talk about these amazing dishes, but also, since this is Taste China, Learn English, we want to learn the specific English words used to describe them.
Right, we want to understand not just what the food is, but the English vocabulary we use to talk about it.
Yes, exactly. Words like aromatic, savory, and hearty. And Xinjiang is really the perfect place to explore this.
It really is. I mean, historically, this area was the heart of the ancient Silk Road.
The famous trading route, right?
Yes, it was this huge meeting point where merchants and travelers from totally different worlds just, you know, crashed into each
I
other.
can only imagine the mix of cultures there.
Oh, it was incredible. And over hundreds of years, all those travelers needed food that could help them survive the harsh deserts and freezing mountains.
So the food had to be practical.
Very practical, but it also happens to taste absolutely amazing.
Well, let's start with the smell
Yeah.
because, before you even see the food in Xinjiang, you smell it.
Oh, definitely. The smell hits you first.
Our guide says that when you walk into a local market, the air is intensely aromatic.
Aromatic. That is a great vocabulary word.
Yeah, let's explain that one. Aromatic basically means having a very strong, usually pleasant smell that just fills the air.
Right. Like, if you walk past a bakery, you get that aromatic smell of fresh bread.
Exactly. But in a Xinjiang market, it is not a soft smell like bread. It is heavy. It is the smell of roasting meat and intense spices over an open fire.
And the undisputed king of those spices is cumin.
Cumin, known locally as zirin,
Yes, Ron. Our source material basically calls cumin the absolute soul of Xinjiang food.
which is so interesting. I mean, that made me think about how cumin is to Xinjiang what basil is to Italian food.
Or maybe what lemongrass is to Thai food.
Exactly. It is the base aroma. If you smell cumin on a hot grill, you know exactly where you are. It gives the food this incredibly deep, smoky, savory flavor.
Savory. That is our next big English word.
Yes, savory. How would you describe savory to our listeners?
Well, when we say food is savory, we mean it is earthy, it is salty, it is roasted.
Basically, it is the opposite of sweet, right?
Exactly. No sweetness at all. But, using all that cumin is not just about making things taste savory. It is actually super functional.
Functional? Wait, what do you mean? Like it does a job?
Yes, it does a very important job. Think about the Silk Road. You are in a hot, dry desert before refrigerators were invented.
Oh, right. Keeping meat fresh would be a nightmare.
Exactly. And the main meat there is sheep or mutton. Mutton has a very strong, gamey taste.
So the cumin covers up that strong sheep flavor.
It does. But more importantly, spices like cumin and chili actually help stop bacteria from growing.
Wow, really? I did not know that.
Yeah. So packing the meat with these savory spices was a way to keep it safe to eat during long trips.
That is just brilliant. It's cooking for survival. And the best example of this has to be Twanner, the famous lamb skewers.
Oh, I love Twanner.
Me too. But these are not just boring pieces of dry meat. They take fresh mutton and they put it on a stick with pieces of pure sheep fat.
And then they cover the whole thing in salt, spicy chili powder, and just huge handfuls of cumin.
Yes. And when that skewer goes over the hot coals, the fat melts, it drops into the fire, and then all that savory aromatic smoke comes right back up into the meat.
It creates this amazing crust on the outside. It really is the original fast food.
Fast, easy to carry, and packed with energy.
Exactly. The spicy flavor basically wakes up your whole body.
But, if you were walking for weeks across a desert, a little skewer is not enough. You need a real sit-down meal.
Right. You need something to really keep your body moving in extreme conditions.
And that brings us to the concept of hearty food, specifically a dish called dapanji,
Dapanji, which translates to big plate chicken.
big plate chicken. And the name is very literal. It is served on a giant plate meant for a whole group of people to share.
And it is the perfect example of the word hearty.
Hearty. Let's break that word down for the listeners. When we call a meal hearty, we mean it is big, heavy, and gives you a lot of energy.
Right. A light salad is not hearty.
No, not at all.
Hearty means it fills your stomach and keeps you full for a long time. It has heavy things like potatoes and meat.
Which is exactly what big plate chicken is. It is a hearty stew made with chicken, big chunks of potatoes, peppers, and onions, all in a spicy sauce.
And the story of how this dish was invented is just fascinating.
Yes. The guide says it was not made by some fancy chef in a palace.
No, it was made for a modern truck driver.
I love that story. This truck driver was driving on those lonely, difficult roads straight through the Taklamakan Desert.
And he needed a meal fast. Something cheap, something filling.
Right. Something hearty enough to keep him full for a long drive and spicy enough to keep him awake at the wheel.
It is so interesting how the modern truck driver is just like the ancient Silk Road merchant.
That is so true. They swapped a camel for a big truck,
Yeah.
but they still have to survive the exact same desert.
When you are facing hundreds of miles of empty sand, food is not just for fun, it is fuel.
It is fuel. But I have to say something about big plate chicken.
What is that?
I think the name's a little wrong
Yeah.
because the chicken is not even the best part.
I know what you're gonna say.
The best part is actually the noodles,
Mhm.
specifically kudamian or belt noodles.
Oh, yes. The belt noodles are amazing.
They are not like thin spaghetti. These are very wide, thick noodles. The cook pulls the dough with their hands and actually slaps it on the table to stretch it out.
It literally looks like a long belt you wear with your pants.
Exactly. And slapping the dough is not just a trick to look cool.
No, it actually changes the structure of the bread. It makes the noodles super strong.
And that strength gives the noodles a very special texture, which we call chewy.
Chewy. Let's talk about that word.
Yeah. Chewy can sometimes be a bad thing in English, right? Like if a steak is chewy, that means it is tough and cooked too much.
Right. But for these noodles, chewy is the best compliment.
It means the noodle is bouncy. It has a firm feeling when you bite into it. It takes real jaw work to eat.
And because they are so chewy and thick, when you drop those noodles into the chicken stew, they soak up all that rich, savory sauce.
They just act like giant sponges. It is so good.
It really is. Chewy foods actually make your brain feel more full and satisfied.
But as great as those wet noodles are, you cannot exactly pack wet noodles in your bag for a month in the desert.
No, they would go bad very quickly.
Right. So if you need energy for travel, you need something dry. Which brings us to the king of Xinjiang travel food,
You are talking about Nang.
Mang. It is a type of local bread, but just calling it bread feels like a huge understatement.
Oh, absolutely. There are over 50 different kinds of Nang.
50. Some are small and thick, almost like bagels, and others are huge and thin, like a big pizza crust.
The variety is amazing, but what is even more amazing is how they bake it.
Yes. They do not use a normal oven. They use a special clay oven called a tapo. And the guide uses a great word to describe its shape.
Cylindrical.
Cylindrical. Okay, let's explain this one to our learners.
Sure. Think of a tall tube, like a soup can or a water pipe. It is round on the bottom and has straight, tall sides.
Right, so a cylindrical oven is basically a tall clay tube standing up with a hot fire burning at the very bottom.
And that shape traps the heat perfectly. The clay walls get incredibly hot.
So the baker takes the raw bread dough, reaches inside this super hot cylinder, and just slaps the dough right onto the wall.
Straight onto the vertical wall.
And this is what confused me so much when I read the guide.
The physics of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have a straight wall, you have heavy wet dough, and you have fire right below it.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. Why doesn't the dough just slide down the wall into the fire?
Well, it is all about heat. When that wet dough hits the super hot clay, the water in the bread turns to steam instantly.
Oh, I see.
And the starches in the dough basically act like glue. The heat glues the bread to the tiny holes in the clay wall.
So it sticks perfectly while it bakes. That is amazing.
And because the oven is so hot, it creates a very special texture on the outside of the bread.
Yes, the outside gets very crispy.
Crispy! That is a fantastic vocabulary word.
We use crispy a lot in English. Crispy means it has a hard, crunchy shell that kind of breaks in your mouth.
Like a potato chip or good fried chicken.
Exactly. But in Xinjiang, making the bread crispy is not just to make it taste good, it is a survival tool.
Because to get that crispy shell, the oven has to dry out almost all the water in the bread.
And water is the enemy of fresh food.
Right. If food is wet, bacteria will grow and it will go bad.
So by making the bread super dry and crispy, it basically never goes bad.
You could be a merchant on the Silk Road riding your camel for 3 weeks with no fresh food.
And you just pack a bunch of this crispy nang bread, and you know you will not starve.
Exactly. When you are ready to eat, you just break off a hard piece and dip it in hot tea or stew to soften it up.
That is just brilliant. Geography really created their cooking technology.
It absolutely did.
Now, so far in our deep dive, the food we talked about is very similar in flavor.
Very savory, salty, and heavy.
Right. We have heavy lamb fat, aromatic spices, hearty stews, and crispy breads.
Oh, but if you eat that every day, your mouth would get so tired.
Exactly. Which is why the food here does something super clever. They balance out all that heavy, savory food with sweetness.
And the best example of this is a dish called shu fan, or lamb pilaf.
Lamb pilaf. Pilaf is basically a dish where rice is cooked in a seasoned broth, usually with meat fat, so the rice grains stay separate.
They do not stick together like sticky rice.
Right, so in this dish, they cook rice with rich lamb, carrots, and onions. But then they add handfuls of sweet fruit.
Like raisins or dried apricots.
Yeah. And honestly, when I first read that, I thought it sounded awful.
Really? Why?
Well, you have this heavy, salty, greasy meat dish. Throwing very sweet fruit into it just sounded wrong to me.
It can sound strange if you're not used to it, but there is a real science behind it.
Okay, break it down for me.
So, as the meat cooks, the rich fat melts and coats every single grain of rice. The guide uses the word glistening.
Glistening, great word. Glistening means shining with light, usually because something is wet or oily.
Like a wet road shining under a streetlight.
Yes. So the rice is glistening because it is covered in heavy meat oil.
But human taste buds can only handle so much heavy fat. After a while, the fat coats your tongue and you can't taste anything anymore.
Ah, and that is where the sweet fruit comes in.
Exactly. Those sweet raisins and apricots also have a lot of natural acid in them.
So the acid cuts right through the heavy fat.
Yes. It cleans your mouth, it washes away that heavy feeling so you can actually enjoy the next bite of savory meat.
That makes total sense. It is like squeezing a lemon over fried fish.
Precisely. It resets your taste buds, and it really shows off how amazing the local fruit is in Xinjiang.
Oh, the fruit there is famous. The guide mentions their incredible grapes and melons.
The climate there creates the sweetest fruit.
Because it is burning hot during the day, right?
Right. The plants make huge amounts of sugar in the hot sun, but at night, it gets freezing cold.
So the plants just trap all that sugar inside the fruit.
Exactly. The result is fruit that is unbelievably sweet.
And serving that sweet, juicy fruit after a heavy, savory meal is just the perfect balance.
It cools you down and hydrates you.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what should our listeners take away from all this?
Well, I think it shows that learning English vocabulary is not just about memorizing a list of words.
Right. Words like aromatic, savory, hearty, chewy, cylindrical, crispy, and glistening.
Those words actually help you describe the physical reality of a place.
They let you share the feeling of a totally different culture with someone else.
They really are the building blocks of a great story.
So I have a fun challenge for you listening at home. Think about your absolute favorite local comfort food.
The food you eat when you are really hungry or tired.
Exactly. Now imagine trying to explain that food to someone who has never visited your country.
What English words would you use?
Is the smell aromatic? Is the texture chewy? Or does it have a crispy shell? Is it a hearty meal? Or is it light and sweet?
Force yourself to paint a picture with your English vocabulary.
It is a great way to practice. Well, if you enjoyed this Special Taste China Learn English Deep Dive, please take a second to hit that like button.
Yes, and share this with your friends who are learning English or who just love food.
And make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another adventure with us.
Your support means everything to us. Thank you.
Before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay, what is it?
Think about that tired truck driver who invented big plate chicken just to stay awake on the road.
Or the ancient merchants packing crispy nang bread so they wouldn't starve in the desert.
Right. Think about how many of the world's most famous, most beloved foods were not invented in fancy, expensive kitchens.
They were invented out of necessity.
Exactly. They were born out of the pure, hard need for human survival. The next time you smell a heavy, aromatic spice on the wind, take a moment to realize you might just be smelling the scent of human endurance.